Raider Nation, it's mailbag time. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report, and friendly reminder that this mailbag was filmed on July 1st. Mount Raidermore, the Silver and Black Hills, they've wanted more mailbags. So if you guys could, hit that like button. We're a family here after all. And today's show is presented by LA Crash Dog. We did a show last week for Save a Warrior, and I got to give a credit here to OC Raider. I got to give a credit to LCA and everybody that was able to get this one to happen. So today's show is presented by Save a Warrior, and we lose 22 veterans to suicide every day. So if anybody wants to show love to Gunny, if anybody wants to show love to maybe a veteran in their life, tell them Father Tom sent you and go donate. SaveAWarrior.org/donate. Here at the Raiders Report, we donated $150 last week. So if you want to also help out, don't be afraid to do so. SaveAWarrior.org/donate. Let's go to Raider Wifey. Gilmore makes us the number one defense. Do you believe Aidan O'Connell and Minshew can win a Super Bowl with that D? Remember Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer, Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. I'll say this. If you have the number one defense in the NFL, you're going to be a really good team. But at the same time, no, I don't think we end up winning a Super Bowl because in today's day and age in the NFL, which is why I'm going to say what I'm going to say, it's just so much different than the NFL back then. You could play a different level of defense. You didn't need the dominant quarterback because, well, the quarterback gets protected a lot more now than what it did back in Dilfer, back in those other days. This team, if you have the number one defense, we will 100% make the playoffs. And if you could buy into the idea of 100% making it into the playoffs, would you do it? Yes or no? Everybody here is saying yes. To me, you signed Stephon Gilmore, and you are already punching your ticket for making the playoffs. Because if you get this guy, you will have the best defense in the NFL. Why would you not do that? Let's go to Arctic. How do you feel about the Raiders being 79 in Madden? I'm okay with it. Like, the NFL is going to sleep on us. We're projected at 6.5 wins. This seems like a 6.5 win project type Madden thing. I also don't play a lot of Madden, and Chuggs gave me the nod of, yeah, that's okay to me. What up, David Frazier? Showing love here on the Raiders Report. David, get a picture. Much love to you, especially a lowercase d, David. You don't want a lowercase d. Butler or Brown for quarterback 3? I don't know who you mean by Butler. Carter Bradley is our other quarterback. I'm guessing that's the mix-up there. Anthony Brown. If I had to pick, I'm going to go with Carter Bradley. And the only reason why that I say that is because of what I value at the quarterback position. So to me, Bradley is going to be able to run a more similar offense to what Aidan and what Gardner can. Anthony Brown is going to be able to run a little bit of a different offense. So if you're looking for a QB that wants to be able to run like a different style of scout team, that's the guy you go with. But also because of Carter Bradley, is his experience with his dad is Gus Bradley, that's the route I'm going to go. Let's go to Smith. Did you see how big Tyree Wilson looked? I'm not going to lie, reading that first sentence and with this right now going on, not good. Next to Max and John Jenkins, thinks that he breaks out. If you're talking about the viral picture, which Chuggs, I sent that to you earlier today on Slack, if you could check that one out. But Tyree Wilson, I mean, when Chuggs and I ran into him back during Super Bowl week, compared to the way that he looks in the picture that y'all are about to see, I'm telling you this right now, he's like much bigger. I actually think he's probably, I said earlier on live, 30 pounds. Don't take anything I say today all that serious. I would say like 10 pounds heavier. Like, he's definitely bulked up, no doubt about it. But, like, he is an athletic freak. He's got an 86-inch wingspan. Crosby's got an 81. He is a massive, massive human being. But the reason why that I'm taking note to this is because, we've kind of been a channel that's been saying we still anticipate that he's going to play defensive tackle. He looks a lot closer like he's going to be playing DT, standing next to John Jenkins, who's a big DT. At defensive end. John, I'm telling you right now, Tyree's a stud, man. Do I think he's going to end up breaking out? Yes. I think Tyree Wilson this season is going to light the NFL world on fire because he's always going to have one-on-ones. If you're an offensive coordinator and you're looking at this Raiders defense, are you going to double team Tyree Wilson? No. You're going to double team Malcolm Kuntz before you double team Tyree Wilson. You're going to double team Christian Wilkins. You're going to double team Max Crosby. So at some point, it's going to be Tyree one-on-one. And I think when you look at what he was able to do his senior season at Texas Tech, now he's healthy. He's motivated. He's been working with Max the entire offseason. I'm telling y'all right now, dude's going to do some special things. So, all right, Chuggs, you keep on saying 8 sacks. Chuggs says 8 sacks for Tyree Wilson this season. Is he going to have more or is he going to have less? Let me know down in the comment section. Tyree Wilson, big season, it's expected. I'm definitely hoping for more, but I want to know what y'all have to say. Let's go to Thrash. What up, Thrash? Nobody thought journeyman Rich Gannon to be anything special when he got signed. We all know what happened. Who do you think is more likely to be another Gannon, Aidan or Gardner, and why? I actually would say probably Aidan O'Connell, because to me, Gardner Minshew is not going to be that gunslinger. Like, Gardner Minshew, I know exactly what he is. He's a quarterback that you're going out there and you're hoping that he can get you 23, 24 touchdowns and turn the ball over like 10 times for an entire season. He's going to be a gamer. He's going to will your team. Aidan, like, I think I know what Aidan is, but because I haven't seen it as long as what I've seen Gardner, it's the hope. Now, I don't think either of these QBs is winning MVP, but Aidan, to me, if he's just able to just do what, nobody thought Tom Brady was going to be able to do. I'm not sitting up here calling Aidan Tom Brady, but, like, if he's able to be just that methodical as a passer, to me, you have to be able to have it up here to be that good. And to me, Aidan has it up here more than Gardner. Just Gardner's the more athletic quarterback. So to me, Raider fans that are watching in July, those are, old school Oakland Raider fans, Los Angeles Raider fans, hell, probably Raider fans that we slammed some beers back in the J lot and D lot and all the other lots in Oakland. But if you're looking for the latest news, rumors, we do a lot of content here. We go live 4 days a week, even in the month of July. Why? Because I'm a diehard Raider fan like a lot of y'all, and we've built an amazing community here. And I want to show some love to people that were like, you know what? I've watched this show a few times. I'm finally going to hit that subscribe button. New subs. I want to have more subscribers this month than we did last month. I want to have more subscribers this month than I did last July. I'm a competitive person, and this show is how I provide for my family, how Chuggs and I provide for our dogs, our fiancés, our families. My point is, we also look at numbers. So if you appreciate what this show is and you're like, you know what? Those are my guys. Subscribe. It helps us out a lot. So much, like, sometimes I don't think you guys realize it. Let's go to G-Dubs. Just a random question. What's your biggest Raiders what-if about the draft, trades, and free agency? So you're saying, like, this entire offseason, my biggest what-if? So I was talking to Jeremy Fowler the other day, and I asked Fowler, like, tell me something, like, crazy that him and I talked about when we were at the Super Bowl. And it's funny because it ended up being on ESPN. You can go back and you can look. But Fowler told me that Jaden Daniels has looked like unbelievable. Like, so good that people were talking about RG3. And I know RG3 is a guy that got injured, but RG3 also won Rookie of the Year and was this unbelievable quarterback. And then, like, Fowler ended up going on ESPN and, like, talking about, like, how some scouts and coaches are like, could the Commanders be a lot better because of how good Jaden is? My biggest what-if is going to be, like, what if Jaden Daniels turns out to be, like, the best quarterback in the NFL, and the Raiders were unwilling to match a certain draft thing when on this channel we were like, I'm all in. I'm all in on Antonio Pierce and Jaden Daniels. We'll see what ends up happening, but that's my biggest what-if, man. Also, I see Woj just said Colin Giuseppe has agreed on a 2-way deal with the Suns. It's a pretty big deal. Huge deal. All right, let's go to the next question. Wanting a reminder, hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. Get those questions, comments on the show right now. I got Clay. Lots of talk around Dak Prescott. What are the chances he's the Raiders quarterback next year? Oh, boy. I mean, chances that he's the Raiders quarterback, I don't know, 10%. Like, it's not zero, and anybody that's saying it's zero, it's not true. I will still say that there's a better chance that Aidan O'Connell is the Raiders starting quarterback next season. However, though, if the Raiders make the playoffs with Gardner Minshew, he's the Raiders quarterback next season. If the Raiders make the playoffs with Aidan O'Connell next season, he's the Raiders quarterback next season. If the Raiders miss the playoffs this season, and I don't care if Aidan starts, Gardner starts, if they both start, if you miss the playoffs this season, and Dak Prescott is available, with how good I anticipate this defense to be, potentially number one, you have to consider bringing in Dak. Like, I would rather the Raiders, if they miss the playoffs with both of their quarterbacks and me anticipating how good this defense is going to be, I would rather the Raiders sign Dak Prescott at $60 million a year than you roll it again with Gardner or Aidan. In a perfect world, I don't want to give Dak $60 million, but I don't want to keep on rolling with what we've been doing with mediocre quarterback play. This might hurt your feelings. Dak is light years better than anybody we got. He's light years better than Derek Carr. And if I even hear one person say, oh, I'd rather just pay Derek Carr, you don't know ball. So let's go. Let's pick a quarterback here in 2025. Oh, shit. All right, so are you saying I only have these three options? All right, I only have these three options. These are the only three options you get. You're either getting Gardner Minshew with, it would be $13 million next season. You're getting Aidan O'Connell on a rookie deal, so still cheap, or Dak at $60 million. You get to pick your quarterback in 2025. This isn't going to be a popular choice. I'm picking Dak Prescott at $60 million over these two guys if the Raiders do not make the playoffs this upcoming season. Let's go to James. What's up? How many sacks do you think Kuntz will have this year? The number I'm looking for is 8, and that might be a little bit lower than for a lot of people out there, but it's also because I have a lot more higher expectations for a guy like Tyree Wilson. And to me, the Raiders' defensive line, I'm not even going to necessarily look at like singular sacks. Like, I'm going to look at it as a unit. Like, the Raiders last year had 44 sacks, I want to say off the top of my head. I expect them to get 60. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to get 60. And in my mind, Max is going to get 17 of those. Outside of Max Crosby, and I want the Raiders to make sure like Max gets his numbers because he deserves to be Defensive Player of the Year. Outside of that, I think that the Raiders are going to be able to beat you in so many different ways where I don't care if Malcolm has 15, because to me, I'd rather have Malcolm have 10, Tyree Wilson have 10, compared to Malcolm having 12 and Tyree has 3. This team is going to be able to beat you in so many different ways. Predicting their sack numbers, I think, is actually a very, very difficult thing. But I'm just hoping he does exactly what he did last year. If Malcolm Kuntz gives us 8 sacks, that's a hell of a freaking season for that young man. If you guys want to be able to help out the Raiders Report, just continuously being able to just spread a message that we did last week, it worked out really, really well, and I want to give a major, major shout-out to the nation. But to me, the Raiders Report is about family. We got a guy, LA Crash Dog here. He's one of the OGs here, and he wanted to be able to give out a message to every person that watches this show because Father Tom has done a lot for this channel, and I hope that he does a lot for everybody that also watches back home. I want to bring attention to Save a Warrior. These are LA Crash Dog's words, not mine. LA Crash Dog is an ambassador for Save a Warrior, where we help military veterans and first responders struggling with PTSD and suicide. Save a Warrior doesn't charge them anything to attend, so that means Save a Warrior relies solely on donations to get the veterans and first responders through the program. And they are not a big organization like Wounded Warrior, so they need all the help that we can give. Although they're not as big, they are having much more success with a 99.5% success rate since 2012. However, we lose 22 veterans to suicide every day, so the need is urgent. So I am asking the nation to give whatever you can to Save a Warrior at saveawarrior.org/donate. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, Raider Nation, and thank you to OC Raider and LCA, and God bless. Now, I want to be able to show y'all Gunny, right? Like, because again, sometimes, you see names up in the chat. You guys see my face. This is why I want y'all's face. This is Gunny here, and he's the one that's like, I really want you guys to go to Save a Warrior. But then I'm also like, we're a family. Are we a family? Not. And this is a Raider family here, LA Crash Dog. So the fact that we're able to help him create a platform, we do a lot of crazy shit on the show. There's no doubt about it. Mondays Live is the absolute proof to that. But we do the crazy shit that we do because that's what families do to me. At least that's what my family did. So, yes, we're able to go crazy, but then I also want to know, like, who's going to step up, who's here going to help out LA Crash Dog. SaveAwarrior.org/donate. Tell them Father Tom sent you. All these links are going to be available to y'all down in the comments and down in the description. And if you're somebody that watches this show that you're like, I was inspired by LA Crash Dog, shout out to Taino Raider. He messaged me over the weekend and was like, he sent me some pictures of him and just sent him how much he appreciated the show. If you're in that same chair, right, like Nico Laz, veteran, If you're in that same chair and you're like, I appreciated that, send me some photos, send me some stuff that just proves that we're doing the right things here. Gunny would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. SaveAWarrior.org/donate. Let's go to Miller Marley. Yo, since we got the Jimmy G money, what have we done with that money, and can you recap it? When will the Raiders finalize their cap spacer money? You ready? There you go. That was it. Did you catch that? If you blinked, you might have paused the video. I'll do it again. All right, there we go. The thing is this. I know that Raider fans, me included, and I'm probably at fault for this, where I'm like a lot of y'all, I just want them to do something, where I don't want a dead period. I don't want there to be ever a time where I'm like, what the hell are we going to talk about today? But at the same time, for the Raiders, they wanted to be able to evaluate their young talent during training or during minicamp, during OTAs. And if they were going to do a move, which, we've kind of said before, it's probably going to be before training camp. Because that's when a veteran's going to sign. And at this point, it's mainly veterans. So I think what they're doing is they're taking it slow. They're evaluating. Do we want to give contract extensions? Do we want to be able to go out and sign some free agents? Do we want to be able to, renegotiate a few contracts? There's no real rush. They still have 2 weeks to do it. But I kind of anticipated the way that Marcus Peters' deal went down last year, where it just led really, really close right up to the training camp deadline. Let's go to Sailor. Should the Raiders look at Justin Simmons or Quandre Diggs? I mean, Simmons is just clearly the better player. So if you're going to go out and look for a safety, if you're not confident in Trevon Merrick or Marcus Epps, then you just go get the best guy, and that's Simmons. Diggs, to me, you're definitely going to get at a much cheaper rate. And if the Raiders want a true box safety, then you could consider it. But to me, the only way that the Raiders consider this is if they're not confident in Jacorian Bennett, you're not confident in Brandon Faison, and you're like, you know what? We have two good corners and Jack Jones and Nate Hobbs. We just need another guy out there next to Trevon Merrick and next to Marcus Epps, and we can confuse some people. Look for their Jabril Peppers. James, saw an article had Devontae Adams ranked as the sixth best wide receiver in the NFL. Where do you rank him? It's actually funny. Chuggs and I were actually talking about this today. Me personally, I rank him at number 3. And I rank him at number 3 because you got Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, and then it's Devontae Adams. I'm not going to fault. I think Devontae's better than Jamar Chase. That's just me. But the reason why I can understand people not giving Devontae his flowers is because of the year that he had statistically last season. And people don't look at the fact that, the year before that, he had 1,500 yards, 4 touchdowns. Last season, Devontae had over 100 catches, almost 1,200 yards, and 8 touchdowns with Jimmy Garoppolo, Brian Hoyer, and Aidan O'Connell. And far too often, people just look at the statistics, where if you're going to rank him at 6th, cool. I hope Devontae sees it again. This offseason, for me, bulletin board material. Put it on the bulletin board, because he's not the 6th best. Crash Dog, I'm up. What a perfect time for me to jump on. My Raider fam is the best. Thank you all. Shout out to Gunny, and good morning. Justin, what are the top 3 worst injuries you have ever seen in the NFL? Oh, man. To be honest with you, there's so many injuries that if you're saying, I've seen, honestly, watching live, the DeMar Hamlin one scared the hell out of me. The Tua injury, I heard that would be another one. To me, they were all head injuries. And don't get me wrong, you see some, I will say this, not in the NFL. I went to a Lafayette football game. My cousin, that's where he played. And I saw some kid's leg. I was right there, completely twist. To me, I can still remember the sound it made, and that was one of the most horrific injuries I've ever seen. It was on turf. Let's go to Linked Out. If AOC has the edge right now, when would Minshew get his edge? I'm going to say, to me, Minshew's a gamer. You know what I mean? Minshew's going to be one of those quarterbacks where he might not get his edge in practice. And there's just certain guys like that. I played college baseball. We had one guy, our closer. He was the worst pitcher I've ever seen in practice. He'd go out there, and he's going to shut it down. He still owns, our ERA record in college. He was a gamer. To me, that's what Minshew is. Minshew's a gamer, where He might not look great in practice, but when it comes down to the game, he's just going to be better. And I don't know if Minshew is ever going to get that edge. I mean, again, like right now it's Aidan's job to lose, and I still think that he does have that slight edge, but I'm hoping during, I guess, the preseason is when Minshew turns it on. It's like, all right, that guy's clearly better. Let's go to Free Fly. This is my second off-season watching the Raiders Report. Not only are you guys informing and educating fans, but you also make the off-season move faster. I appreciate that a lot, Free Fly. You know, you're always on Noti Gang, Twitter, especially you were a retweet gang king. But, like, I think when you see people in the off-season and you see them return again, that's a really cool feeling for something that, like, what Chuggs and I do, because it's easy to watch the Raiders Report during Raiders season. Like, let's be honest, it's easy for me to do my job during the season. But when you're watching in July, it's a different level. And I hope that we do a lot of stupid stuff. We do a lot of shenanigans. Hell, I guarantee when I walk home today, my dad's going to call me like, you got to relax a little bit sometimes. It's Monday. But you know what? Like, this show honestly is designed for y'all to be able to take your mind off of whatever the hell's going on and ultimately to, have a little bit of fun here on the Raiders Report.